Third pitch of the day. I'm just knocking these suckers out right now. All right. So yeah, here's my pitch, guys. So for the Craven Estate, that's never going to watch this or hear my pitch, I think you can go two ways. You can either go the Halloween 2018 route, and you bring back Nancy and you bring back Robert Englund for at least one more movie. But we know how things go. They're never just going to do one movie. But there has to be a way, if you're going to do that, there has to be a way for, if they are going to do a sequel, that Robert Englund would pass the torch, so to speak. As far as who you get, that's a whole nother tale. But one way where you could do that is if you had maybe, this is an idea. There's a way to do this. Like I said, I have two pitches here. One would be a overarching quadrilogy sort of thing, sort of a remake, more or less, going about it, or retooling, requel, whatever you want to call it. But this one would be requel. So you get Robert Englund back for one more thing. He's Freddy Krueger. We continue the story. You can either follow up. I guess you'd have to follow up the first movie because, as much as you hate to ignore Dream Warriors, it's a fine film. She dies in that one, so you kind of, unless her character is magically going to come back, then, you'd have to kind of follow that one. So I would say, yeah, follow the first movie. Obviously, Nancy's much older, but maybe she's got kids of her own now. Much like she did in New Nightmare, without, maybe not a little kid, though. Let's see maybe those kid actors. Okay, unless you get a good one, but maybe, he mainly haunted teenagers most of the time, so when he's alive, but maybe you should definitely even play into Freddy. He's beaten up, he's torn down, he's not really signing, who's texting me? I'm doing a pitch. I'm very important. Very important. Okay. Yeah, that's my wife. Anyway. My wife. Anyway, but I would say, yeah, that's a way to go with pitch number one, would be like, all right, Robert Englund's, Freddy's beaten down. He's still trying to come after these kids, but maybe his power is fading a little bit. And you can play into the whole dream world thing a little bit. Like, maybe he's just not what he once was. Maybe his body's getting broken down. Even being in the dream world, his body's breaking down a little bit. Sort of kind of that, almost the way what they wanted to do with Freddy's Dead, which was Peter Jackson's idea, that no one was scared of Freddy anymore. He wasn't, but I don't want to totally go with that necessarily, because that's Peter Jackson's idea. But almost like the dream world, all this dream world, he's using all his dream powers and these nightmare powers and stuff like that. And after all these years, it's kind of fading him. He's killed a lot of kids. He's killed a lot of things, So what I would say, and finally, Heather Langenkamp maybe can kill him and all that. But at the same time, maybe you're following, and this kind of goes back to, I think, one of my other pitches I'd had. I think it was the Freddy's Dead pitch. But maybe you're following someone else. You find another actor, and whoever you want to cast is totally up to you. But you find someone else, like maybe the dream world's like, we need to find somebody else. And it doesn't need to be a real young guy, but this is how you can tie up the Robert Englund stuff. And he would definitely, it would be towards the end of the movie. This would be how you'd set up potential sequels and all that, and a new Freddy to deal with, so to speak. And the question is, would he be Freddy, though? That's the thing, He might be somebody else. And that's the one controversial thing you're going with, because it's kind of like, you kind of don't want to go Halloween ends and this isn't Freddy anymore. But if Robert Englund doesn't want to continue on with this or do a trilogy or anything like that, then, you kind of have to tie him up somehow. So that's why this isn't my favorite pitch. Well, it would be cool to see him in Heather Langenkamp again, unless it's just going to be one-off movie. Heather Langenkamp might be up for a trilogy. I don't know if Robert Englund would be. Getting into that makeup again. But, so there's two ways of going about that. You can do that, or you can have Robert Englund, like I said in my other pitch, just playing another character, and you get somebody else in the role. And that's kind of more the pitch I'd lean towards. I love Robert Englund, he's great, but he's getting up there in age, and that makeup is a lot to deal with. I can understand not wanting to get in that makeup all the time. That's a lot of time in that makeup. And you get to a certain age, you're kind of like, I don't want to go through that again. But you never know. Money talks. So yeah, there's definitely a way to do it where you could hand off the torch, so to speak. The other way would be to just that's the end, but then, hey, we're going to reboot it. Take some time, reboot it, get a new person in there. But you could have a situation where you have another person that's driven into the nightmare world, and takes over the mantle of Freddy Krueger. And maybe they are still Freddy Krueger. There's options there. I'm not going to cast anyone yet. I will cast someone for the other thing. But I would say, yeah, that's the way you could go about it. Like, he's haunting her kids. Maybe she has a couple kids. Maybe a couple of the other teenagers around get killed by Freddy and all that. But he's starting to weaken. He's older. He's gotten weak. And so even the dream world powers, the nightmare people are like, yeah, maybe we need to find some other, And so maybe they find someone who's similar and also killing kids or something like that. So they can kind of say, we can offer you this. We can offer you this, So that's a way to go. You could have that be a after credit scene. You could have that be a way to set up. So if they want to continue on with this makes money, because let's face it probably would make money. At least there'd be the nostalgic factor of, oh my God, it's Robert Englund, it's Freddy again, it's Heather Langenkamp, So there's definitely that cool aspect of that. So that's one way to go about it. That'd be kind of the Halloween 2018. We're following up Nightmare on Elm Street. Let's finally kill Freddy, but you obviously be dealing with Heather Langenkamp's kids at this point because she's older as well. So it's like, it's not going to be her in her dreams and all that. But I wouldn't say a full pitch on that. They basically find a way to kill Freddy, as you do, lay him to rest, but then there'd be a new dream power rising. And whether he'd be called Freddy or not, maybe this character would be called Freddy as well. I don't know. There's a way to go about it. That's the only thing with me is like it's touchy to be like, let's just not. You don't want to. You get a lot of people who would be like, "Fuck that shit," and would really be pissed off because a lot of people were pissed off with Halloween Ends because of certain aspects of it. If you haven't seen it, well, I won't spoil that for you. But let's just say there's certain aspects of it that you might not like if you don't like. If you're there for Michael Myers, it's what it is. But regardless, so that's one pitch you can go with. That's kind of the fan servicey pitch of one more time. Here's my pitch. I think you can go with sort of I think you have to kind of scratch the surface. You have to go remake with it. That doesn't mean Robert Englund can't be involved. Robert Englund could be involved in the script. He could be involved as a director. He could be involved in a cameo role of some kind. Same with Heather Langenkamp. I think there's a place for them. Maybe Heather Langenkamp plays the mom. Maybe she's Nancy Thompson's mom. That could, be a fun, different type of role for her too. But what I would do with the first movie is I would go kind of prequel. And I know with a prequel, there can be dangers. And that was the one thing especially with the Halloween remake that I had a problem with was the bullying, being bullied, and this is why I did it. Plus Michael Myers talking. In the original movie, we don't hear him talk. We never hear Michael Myers talk. We should never hear Michael Myers talk. With Freddy, it's a little different. Freddy's talking. He talks a lot. But at the same time, you want to avoid going with Freddy was bullied or da-da-da or that, because then you get the sympathy. We don't want to have sympathy for him. This man kills children. And in some cases, molests children. There's no sympathy there. You might have some sympathy like if that happened to them, but at the same time, there's this aspect of you can get therapy and deal with PTSD and take medications and things like there's things out there now. There's a lot more things. There's even free help out there sometimes that you can get. So, there's a lot of times where I try to be sympathetic to things, but when someone hurts a child, there's, even if they were hurt, there's still kind of you can choose not to do that. There's people who have been hurt that do not immediately follow that pattern and can work through that stuff. It doesn't always work, and not everybody has access to it. I understand that. But we're making a movie here anyway, so this is what this is really about. So that's one thing I want to avoid. I want to avoid Freddy was bullied. Because then you get too much sympathy, because then you feel bad for him, and then it's like, oh, well, now he's, And that was kind of the problem. If they had just gone with okay, kill someone and jump ahead and let's go into maybe a little bit this is more Halloween here, but go into that would have worked better for me. But that's what I want to try to avoid with this prequel. So what I would do is just have a little bit with him as a kid. Get a decent child actor who can play that role. Be awesome. That would be a way to go. And I think you could definitely see him, and I would tie in Amanda Krueger a little bit. Let's tie in Amanda Krueger, all right? Let's tie in a little bit of the Dream Warrior stuff with her, Son of a Thousand Maniacs. Let's go with this. We're going dark anyway. There might be a little comedy here and there, but I think we're going dark here. But I think what I would do is really focus on the dream world. And I've mentioned this before in the other ones, but focus on that connection to the dream world. rather than it just being this random thing of like, well, you're being burned alive. Hey, want to take over nightmares? You know, we're floating around. Hey, we're here to help you. You know, because that just randomly, that wasn't even part of the first movie. It's just like he's in your nightmares. This is scary. And the thing is, you don't really ever really find out how the hell you end up in those nightmares. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes it's like, oh, do you really need to explain it? But you do kind of, in a way. But we're going with this. It's a different take. We're going for this. Wes Craven has passed on, unfortunately. So we're not going to get his advice on it. So I would say we got to kind of scratch the surface a little bit. But I would say connect to the dream world. Like, have him have these nightmares himself a little bit as a kid. Not of Freddy Krueger. Not of himself necessarily. But, like, connect him to that dream world a little bit. So we kind of get that. So it's not just so random. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm in the dream world now. Killed all these kids. I'm being burned alive. Now I'm in the dream world. I'm going to haunt your teenagers. All right. So, you know, I think you need to, like, really connect with that nightmare thing. Really, and make it really scary nightmares to, like, really have him really have this kind of trauma as a kid and all that. So there's where he gets his trauma from. Not so much like, you know, and maybe even has dreams of killing kids, of killing other kids or something like that. Like, he's having these nightmares. But it doesn't have to do with him killing animals or any of that serial killer bullshit that we see and all these other things. Fuck that. You're doing that with a real serial killer? Okay, well, this is Freddy freaking Krueger here. So, you know, I would call it Krueger. That's why I just call it Krueger. And then we can jump ahead a little bit to his teen years and all that and start to see him being kind of troublesome and maybe just kind of like, you know, he's beating up some kids or something like that. You know, really being a bully and all that. Like, let's just make him a total jerk. You know, we don't want sympathy for Freddy Krueger. He's Krueger, for God's sakes. He's a jerk. He's really crass jokes and really, you know, and I would maybe even have a teenage Donald Thompson in there. Why not? And the mom. What's the mom's name? What was the fucking mom's name? Well, we gotta look that up again. God damn it. No. Hold on, let me check this text here. Oh, it's the same thing. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna jump ahead to this again. Here we are, IMDb. What the hell was the mom's name in Nightmare on Elm Street? I want to say it's Donna or something like that, maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. There it is. Cast list. Oh, hi, Glenn Lance. Johnny Depp. Tina, Rod Lane. Marge Thompson, yes. So yeah, and we'd have Marge, yeah, and I'd probably have a teenage Marge or something like that. Whoever you want to cast that, a blonde actress would be fine, I think. If you want to go that route, maybe not, maybe somebody else. But I would have them kind of interact with him, like always feeling like he was kind of a jerk and kind of a creep too, like just the way he kind of looked at people and all that, you know, always kind of a creep and all that, you know. But maybe he's starting to have this connection. He's still having these nightmares, but he's starting to actually like what he's doing in his nightmares. He's starting to, you know, and then he's starting to act out. He hasn't killed anyone yet, but he's starting to have those kind of images in his head. He's starting to think of, man, I'm really enjoying killing these people in the nightmares. And in the nightmares, this is just a test run. He hasn't killed anybody yet. So none of these people in these nightmares are real kids or real people, but he's dreaming about them. He's thinking about doing this stuff. You know, so he's getting that kind of mindset and all that. And then I would say maybe right after high school is when he really says, I'm going to live this dream and all that. And he doesn't get along with his mom. She's a nun. She's praying for him and all that type of stuff. But she's obviously messed up because obviously the Thousand Maniacs. So she's always been worried about him. She's tried to get him counseling. She's tried to get him but he's just a troublemaker. And he's constantly in trouble. And he's a creep. And he's looking at kids really weird and thinking of this, like, you know, and then we don't want to go the muster route, but we can, you know, tie it a little bit in there. Like, he's just a creep. He's just a creepy guy. He's got a creepy sense of humor. He's just dark all the way around. And I would say, really build up to, like, the first movie, he starts killing kids then. He kills his first kid. And he starts seeing these kids. Like, maybe he sees these kids from elementary schools or something like that, and he starts dreaming about them. But then he starts to get this power, and he starts to have these voices that are telling him, you can own this entire dream world someday. Not yet. Right now, I want you to live out your dreams. I want you to live that nightmare. And so, yeah, he'll start killing these kids and all that. Now, the only problem with that, I guess, would be if he starts killing these kids, that Donald and, you know, I think they've always tied in a little bit and hinted that Nancy had an older sister that got killed by Freddy. So maybe that's one of the characters. Now, we would jump ahead a little bit. We would jump a little bit ahead in time, so it wouldn't be right after high school. But like by that time, Donald and Marge have gotten married and all that stuff, and maybe the Lances too. Maybe they're there too. Like I said, tie in a bunch of the characters from the original. Why not? Now that not so much a prequel thing of like, remember that thing in the movie when they did that? This is how that happened. This is how he got his badge. You can focus a little bit on Don Thompson becoming a cop and all that stuff. And they have a baby. I'd say, like I said, Nancy would be the second child. I would have another sister that gets killed by Freddy, be one of his victims. Maybe even a little kid, and that's why they have Nancy later. But yeah, I would build up to that, have him kill several kids, have them find him out, and then, we end on basically him getting burned alive, and now he can officially kind of transfer into the dream world fully to really start building those nightmares. And it's going to take him a little while for he can start to really, he's going to have to learn a little bit about how he can use these nightmares and bring people actually into the nightmares. Because before this, he hasn't been able to kill anyone in the nightmares. He started killing people for real. Now he wants to be able to bring that power. But now he's kind of, in a way, he's not really, he's frightened because he's being burned alive. And that's very painful. But at the same time, there's almost kind of this transference for him of just like, now I have the power. As far as who I'd cast, yes. I would say I have a couple choices as far as older Freddy goes. Kevin Bacon is definitely a popular choice. He is older too, though. He's not that far in age from Robert Englund, so Kevin Bacon seems to be up for whatever, and I think he'd be down for it. As far as you want to go big name, I would say absolutely Kevin Bacon would be a great choice. Two other choices I have. I heard one that was, what's his name? I'm losing names all the time now. Richard Brake. Richard Brake. He's been in a lot of Rob Zombie films. He played Joe Chill in The Dark Knight. He's been in a lot of Rob movies. He's really good. He played in 31 is a terrible movie, but there's this opening monologue where he's in this clown makeup. Brilliant fucking scene. He plays really creepy characters. I can see him. He's got that kind of face to him too, much like Robert Englund. I could definitely see him playing that role. My other choice is kind of an outside-the-box choice. Zach Ward, who played the bully in Christmas Story. Now, he's a little bit older, too, now, but, he's red hair. He definitely knows how to play a creepy character. Those would be my three top choices, I'd say, to put in the Freddy Krueger role. As far as Nancy goes, that's a tough call. We haven't gotten to Nancy yet because this is just the prequel. So this is the basic. We've set the prequel. Krueger is done. And then we get into the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And I would tie in, I would start tying in, because with this trilogy sort of thing, I would tie in a little bit of the Dream Powers, even the Dream Warrior, Dream Master stuff. I would tie that in. I don't want it to be a shot-for-shot remake. I don't want it to just be like, and here's all these characters again. But we've recast them. But I would say that, what you'd want to do would be, I would make more or less, I think Nancy should be the Dream Master. Nothing against Alice as a character. She was fine. But, Nancy needs to be the Dream Master. And maybe it's even a situation where maybe she dies in one of the movies. Maybe the second movie or something like that. But then that's how she kind of transfers in. I would say, in addition to these nightmares, maybe she starts to learn these. By the second movie, she's starting to pick up the pieces of, maybe I need to fight these nightmares. How can I fight him if I can't truly fight? I can fight him in the real world a little bit, but how can I really fight him in these nightmares? So I think that would be what I would focus on too, is that Nancy would be the official Dream Master, which would be the final movie. But she would also recruit the Dream Warriors. So we would definitely bring Kirsten in. And it would be recasted. Unless you want to bring Patricia Arquette back, that's totally fine. I'm totally fine with that. Maybe we can get Johnny Depp to play a role in there somewhere. Why not? Why not? He's back, baby. We're bringing it all in. But yeah, I would definitely give some of the original cast members, throw them in there for a cameo role or something like that. As far as who would play adults, let's see. Who would we cast as Nancy? Because it would have to be someone good. It needs to be a teenager. I don't want to go Jenna Ortega just because she's very popular right now, but I don't want to just go. She's been in a lot of horror movies right now. It's a tough call, though. There's a lot of good young actresses who could teenage. Let's go to the good teenage actresses right now that are really popular in their 20s. I just searched this earlier. let me check this out real quick, guys. I'm going to pause this, and then I will be back. And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I was looking for actors in their 20s. I think would be great. There's a couple good choices here, and some with horror routes, too. So I'm actually leaning towards Isabella Fuhrman, who you might remember from the movie Orphan and Orphan First Kill, who is in her 20s now. Just looking at her, she's got a good look. I think she would be a fun Nancy. So that's who I'm going to cast as our Nancy. As far as Tina, I'm going to cast an actress that was on Yellow Jackets. Hold on, I got to scroll up here. Find her again. What's her name? So it's not a big role, but, you know. Or maybe she could be Kirsten. She'd be good, too. Oh, where'd you go? Where'd you go? It's not that. It's not you. You're not that. Sorry, guys. I just had this and then I lost it. I had it and then I lost it. God damn it, Lovato. Never casting that bitch. Sorry, Demi Lovato just drives me nuts. She acts like kind of a tool half the time. Where are you? You were here. Yeah, she's hilarious. Ella Summer Purnell. She's a British actress. She was on Yellow Jackets. She played the teenage version. I guess one of the teenage versions. I thought she was good. She was like the lead member of the soccer team, basically, that everybody pretty much started to hate. But I thought she was good. I think she could be either good as Tina or possibly as a good Kirsten when you cast her in there. So those would definitely be the choices there. As far as who's going to play Gwen Lance, oh god, no! I can look up 20 guys in there. No, I'm not worried about that so much. I'm not cast every single character. That's something that we can figure out. But that would be who I would cast. Those would be two characters I would definitely cast in the role. Like I said, let's put Harold Kemp as the mom. Why not? Let's do that. But who's going to play the dad? Put Robert Englund there somewhere. Have him involved. He should definitely be involved somehow. And work with the new Freddy a little bit just to give him some pointers here and there, but without trying to tell him how to act. But yeah, I would build towards that. Let things be the first movie be similar and stuff like that. You still have Tina and stuff like that, and Rod and Glenn. You can have those original characters back without it being like a total ripoff. You can also add a couple new characters too if you want. That's totally fair. And then I would say maybe the second movie you can have some more different characters, but I would definitely bring Kirsten in at least, and maybe Kincaid because Kincaid's awesome. You can't go wrong with Kincaid. He rules. And I would, like I said, I would be all about giving some cameo roles to some of the original actors if they want to come back. They don't have to play a huge part, but they're adults now. Let them play some roles. Why not? They're down with it. But yeah, I would definitely tie in. So I'd say, yeah, first movie's all about similar to the first movie, setting up Nancy and all that. And then second movie would be basically kind of a little bit of a takeoff of Dream Warriors without it being a total this is just Dream Warriors all over again. Because I don't want it to be just like a ripoff. But I really want to, like I said, tie in the dream world a lot. Don't want it to just be and here's a nightmare and someone's dead. But really tie into that dream world power. I would probably stick with, like I said, have Nancy die and then become the Dream Master in the final movie. And along with the Dream Warriors, finally be able to stop Freddy for good. So like I said, gave him a couple options as far as who could be Freddy. Any of those I think would be good. You could go unknown too, really relative unknown, which I kind of did anyway. But you could go completely unknown for Nancy. That would be totally fine too. But yeah, I said for me, I think you have to gotta go with the best of both worlds. Sort of go with what the Friday the 13th remake did, where it kind of tied a bunch of movies together. Except this way we would spread it out. So we get a Krueger prequel, then we get a trilogy, which ties the first movie, the third movie, and the fourth movie together. With a little bit, the Dream Master thing being a little bit better utilized. The fourth one wasn't bad. I liked it. But I didn't like them killing the Dream Warriors off. So yeah, that's one thing ain't gonna happen in the Dream Master for my Dream Master. Those goddamn Dream Warriors are not getting killed off. Especially not Kincaid, because Kincaid rules. So yeah, that's what I would do, guys. So that's kind of my basic pitch. I could probably have fleshed it out a little bit more in terms of what the movies would be, but I kind of give the biggest thing was that intro one. Beyond that, you can kind of play with what you want with the first, the other movies in the trilogy, quadrilogy, whatever. But that's what I would say. So Nancy's a very important character. Kirsten's still a very important character. And obviously Freddy is a very important character. But yeah, who would I get to? Who should play the damn dad? Because who's got to be as awesome as John Saxon? You know what? Clancy Brown. Fuck it. Put Clancy Brown in there. Why not? He should have been playing that character in the remake anyway. We're going with Clancy Brown because Clancy Brown rules. So he'll be Heather Langenkamp's husband. That'll work. And like I said, Johnny Depp show up in there somewhere. Why not? We can give him some kind of role in there. He'll be Loomis. Oh wait, wrong franchise. Make him a doctor or something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Maybe he could be in the second movie, with the Dream Warrior thing. He can be the doctor or something. Maybe he can be a doctor or the thing. If we go in that hospital route, that's cool. Or we just not do that. Whatever, guys. It's an idea. Let's roll with it. But yeah, that's my basic pitch, guys, for what I would do as a quadrilogy for Freddy Krueger. And like I said, last thing I wanted to do was be like, just do Dream Warriors again. Okay, that's not what I want to do. But I do think take the best of those movies and still create some fresh ideas with it. I still think there's more you could do with the Dream Warriors. I still think there's more you could do with that Dream Master power. Really tie it into the dream world. Really make that connection. And like I said, make Nancy the Dream Master. That's how you use Nancy and still use Nancy in the movie, as opposed to being like, well, and now Nancy's dead. And now the Dream Warriors are dead. And here's this new character you just met. And like I said, Alice was fine, but that's what I would go with just to make it, Nancy should pretty much always be the main character in Nightmare on Elm Street. And Kirsten being a close second, I think, was very important there. In my mind and my thing as a Nightmare fan. But like I said, get as many people as you want in that movie. Have some cameos. We're going all out, guys. Let's just have fun with it. Let's have a blast. Let's make a Nightmare series worth it. That will be just awesome. Nothing's going to top the first one or Dream Warriors, but hey, you know what? Why not? We're making a new thing here, guys. So roll with it. You'll like it or you won't like it. If you don't like it, you'll bitch about it online. So who cares? All right, guys. So cool. That was my pitch, guys, for a Nightmare quadrilogy of sorts. Prequel followed by a trilogy. So like I said, not the most fleshed out thing in the world, but hey, like I said, a lot of this is improvised, guys. So a lot of this stuff is just on the fly because I'm bored on a Friday and I wanted to relax and do some fun stuff for you. So that's my Nightmare, guys, pitch. I hope you like it. Leave comments below. Tell me your ideas, guys. Love to hear it. And Craven Estate, let's talk. Just kidding. They're not going to call me. Anyway, cool, guys. Like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and hope you enjoyed this pitch.